Hello everyone, I'm here with my sister and we just got back from the revised version of Phantom of the Opera, which is playing in our city right now. Um, I have thoughts on it and so does my sister.
Hi.
That was like the worst introduction ever. Stop smiling, they can't see you. Good God, you look stupid. Anyway, so I wasn't really, I didn't expect it to be like this different. We were told that it was going to be a revised version. I thought it was going to be that really ugly looking touring version with the video screen projections on the back, but I'm glad it wasn't that. Nicole, what were you expecting?
I wasn't expecting it to be, because it is a touring one, so they can't have as extensive things as the Broadway version. And obviously, well, the cast wasn't weaker, but it's like a different cast than what we saw on Broadway, which is obvious.
Oh, it's always a different cast,
Yeah,
though.
but
Like,
Broadway, they're used to that stage, they're used to the theater, all the stagehands and sets are, like, built for the theater. But here it's not.
yeah, I find though, Phantom came to our city a few years back, and it was the original version, which was also touring, and they had better special effects, and it was more suited for the thing. I think just this change in versions kind of didn't suit the theater more, though it is true, like, the original theater is, like, more suited for it.
Because especially the way our theater is built, like, it's a big theater. The Broadway ones are smaller and more compact, so you can kind of see what's happening around you. Like, if they ever had the Phantom running around on the ceiling or whatever, like, you wouldn't be able to see him.
No. Yeah, there was a few problems with that, but, you said you wanted to talk about the cast first?
Yeah, sure, so...
Yeah, I'll say it, because I know you're awkward at this. I just made you awkward by saying you're awkward. But okay, so we were looking through the program, and I was sort of reading what everyone had been in, and I was checking to see if they at any point mentioned Love Never Dies, and it was mentioned in there a couple times, not in depth. It was just like credits like, this person did Love Never Dies, and then it was never brought up again. But and so I was looking at the Phantom, and it said that he had played Mufasa and Scar in The Lion King, and so I'm like, oh, that must mean. And so we got a Black Phantom, which is good because I've always wanted to see a Black Phantom.
See, it's like it's like a rare Pokemon or something, or like
No,
a special kind of berry bush.
It is, because like most of the Phantoms have been white, and it's not like it's a role that has to be white. Like,
yeah.
It's never really specified. I mean...
And it doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't affect him in any way.
It's one of those ones that...
He's an outcast, whatever he is.
I think that would have added to the, like, drama in the role if, like, but Pianji as well was black, and we sort of thought maybe that was because at the very end, spoilers, by the way, if somehow you don't know about Phantom of the Opera, but at the very end when the Phantom kills Pianji and takes his place, we thought maybe that's, like, but I think it was cast independently just as a thing, because he's covered up in Point of No Return anyway, so it's not like it would be, like, an issue with that, so, and, there have been a couple of Black Phantoms before. One of them was Norm Lewis. I don't know much about him. I know his name. I think maybe we have a CD with him singing something unrelated to Phantom. He might be on the Broadway's Fabulous Phantom CD. I'm not really sure. And the other one was Robert Guillaume, who I was really interested in him because he's done, like, a lot of things. Some things I haven't heard of, but most notably, he was in Half-Life 2, and he was in Land Before Time 8 as Mr. Thicknose, and he was Rafiki in The Lion King.
Oh.
Yeah, my sister just had a moment of, like, her world just imploded, and, like, it's so cool. Yeah, it's really cool when those people, like, they're in things that you know, and then you find it out, and you're like, that is so cool. Like, it's like Howard McGillen when I found out he was in Swan Princess.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a Black Phantom at all. It's, like, in some roles it does matter. Like, in Hairspray, you kind of have to have white people.
And black people.
And in Miss Saigon, you kind of have to have Vietnamese people.
Yeah,
but... yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is Vietnamese people.
I was like, no, Saigon. And then I realized I'm an idiot.
Yeah. No, we were just talking, I told Nicole there was a time, though, when Miss Saigon first came out, when a lot of the roles were white that were supposed to be Vietnamese, and they've gotten better with it. I think maybe there's probably still a few problems, but, yeah, so... and, like, with something like Les Miserables, it doesn't really matter. They've been really good with that. Hamilton is a really weird case because it was, like, designed for that, so, like, that's too complicated, won't get into that, but, like, basically, I think if in a role it doesn't matter what race it is, and if Broadway doesn't talk about race, it doesn't matter as long as they're good.
Here's a true story that I know you already know, but it's really, really funny. So it's not funny. It's almost sad.
It's really sad.
You know what I'm going to talk about?
Yeah, I know what you're... Tell them.
My school, we did a production of Hairspray, which is really great. Like, it's a really great story, really great songs. But the thing is, we go to, like, mostly white school. Like,
there's just, like...
I legitimately thought when I was younger that there were, like, no people other than white people for the longest time. Like, I was like, what? So, they did Hairspray, and how, like, half the cast is black, but we didn't have any black people. So, what happened is people painted their faces black. Which, like, their whole bodies. So, it was, like, mild blackface.
No, it is blackface.
It is blackface, but it wasn't made to mock them, so it's not...
But it is blackface,
It was blackface,
It's really, like, bad.
It was really bad. Like, I remember being like, wow, I didn't realize our school had such diversity. Like, this is really great. And then I saw them coming out of the bathroom, and they were, like, putting stuff on their faces, and I was like,
yeah, that's
offensive.
That's, like, really bad, and that was recently, too. And I'm shocked that they were allowed to do that in the school, because, like, kids don't know what they're doing in, like, high school, or, like less than high school. Yeah, it was junior high. So, like, they don't know what they're doing, and, like, do the adults not understand that this is, like, the worst possible thing of all things?
The guy who was the director taught us a class on blackface. Like, we did, like, a whole thing on... I think it was like New Orleans or something, and New Orleans blackface.
Just to be clear, he didn't teach you to do blackface. He taught you why it was wrong, right? Yeah.
He was just like, this is what happened.
Oh.
And I was like, okay.
And it was wrong.
And then he was the director.
And then he did that. Yeah, that's really...
It's just kind of dumb.
That is mind-boggling and
how
weird.
How dumb are you to do Hairspray?
Yeah,
like, the whole time I was at that school, I think we had, like, 2 black kids, maybe.
There was one in my grade.
There's one in the grade below me.
Yeah. It was... We did not go to a very diverse school, but...
No, but they always pretended they were. That was the funny thing.
Yeah,
we had, like, multicultural days, and it's just like...
Yeah, and, like, everyone
we're
there
all
was...
Swedish.
Yeah.
Sweden.
Oh, so, yeah, Broadway musicals have... And it's kind of good, though, because... Since they sort of stick around for longer and there's more actors that can go through parts, you can see a variety of people and see what works and what doesn't work and what is horribly offensive and should never be done again.
Yeah. Like, each fandom brings something different. Like, some play him more evil, some play him more fragile. And I think our fandom had a good mix of both. Like, his eyes were really good. Like, he either looked, like, really angry, and then at the end he looked so sad. Yeah. I was like, oh.
I think, the way in which this new version was structured, he didn't have that much time to shine, and I think I'll explain that as we get into the, like, plot and how it happened. We're just going to go through from the very beginning. In fact, before the beginning, we were sitting in the seats and talking about things, because it factors into what happened.
We have to talk about the rest of the cast first, though.
Oh, yeah.
We just got off on the Hairspray blackface thing. And,
yeah, no.
Yeah. So Christine is probably the second...
Yeah.
Not most important, but...
Well, she's the protagonist. But,
yeah.
And she was good. She was the understudy, and I don't have a problem with understudies. One time I was sort of upset that we got the understudy because we were in New York and we were seeing Beauty and the Beast, and it was... Yeah,
it was so sad.
It was the girl who played Chelsea from That's So Raven who was going to be Belle, and we got the understudy for that, but she was still good.
It made me so sad.
I felt a little bit sad because I grew up watching That's So Raven and stuff, so, but, it was fine. She was good.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, Belle was black in the original Beauty and the Beast Broadway.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's nice.
Yeah. Or I think she was. She was not white anyway. And, yeah, nobody made a big stink about that as far as I know, so...
Yeah, like, really, who cares?
Yeah, well...
It shouldn't matter if you're a good actor.
Well...
or actress.
Yeah, idiots care. That's the problem, is they say, like, it has to be white because it's France for both Phantom and...
It's historically accurate.
It's like,
it's a phantom. He makes fireballs.
He's not, like, a literal ghost, though, but, like, yeah, no, but because there's a guy under the Opera House in a mask, and there's, like, it's...
And Beauty and the Beast, literally an enchantress.
Yeah.
Okay, second of all, there were people of color. Like, Othello is about people of color.
Because I will bring this up now. We weren't going to say anything. Well, I told you not to say it, but anyway, our mom was saying, because... I know, but...
the only bad part about having a Black Phantom is hearing the old ladies in the audience complain about it. The only bad part.
So, but when on the drive home we were talking about the black thing, I was saying, if Pianji wasn't also black, it would sort of like add to the tragedy of the Phantom being black, because if he was black and deformed in like 1896, then he'd be like super hated by everyone because everyone's racist in those times.
And if
pretty
they're
much.
not racist, then they hate ugly people.
Yeah. Well, no, they just hate everyone
Or
who's
they hate
different.
people who live in the sewers.
Yes, everyone hated everyone back then. It was shitty
That's
times.
what I imagine.
Yeah. So, and then our mom said, like, no, there were no black people in 1896. I'm like, no, there were. And I'm pretty sure it's mentioned a couple of times even in the novel. There's a Persian in the novel. But that's not quite...
I don't even know where Persia is. Like, I know nothing about Persia. Is it part of Russia?
I'm not going to explain this to you right now. Let's move on. So, yeah. Should we move on to the rest of the cast? Or
Yeah.
were we going to talk
Back
about
on Christine.
Christine?
She's good.
No, yeah, I don't really have
No
much to say about
complaints.
her. She was a good singer. Oh, she had a couple of good acting moments, but a couple of, like, they allowed her to do a couple things in this new version that I'll talk about later that were really cool, but I feel like they could have done more with that. But, any other actors? Raul was weird because he didn't leave an impression on me, and I kind of forgot that he was in the thing for most of it.
He wasn't as sympathetic with Christine. Like, when he was trying to convince her to do the little singing thing that she does with the point of no return, he wasn't like, I know this is hard. He was like, this is hard, but do it, I found.
Yeah.
But he looked like Adam Scott, so I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm fine with this.
Yeah, he was alright, I guess. He was there. I think maybe I was distracted from the actors a bit because the sets and the way in which it was structured was distracting me a lot. And so I didn't really focus on, like, voices or singing or acting choices as much, and that's usually what I focus on when I go see Phantom, because that's what changes every time you go there, right?
Yeah. I just felt I didn't really get to know any of the characters very well.
No, they...
Like, you don't spend enough time with anybody. Really.
Yeah, they should have expanded upon a few things. Who else was there?
Madame Giry was good.
Yeah,
Carlotta was good.
Carlotta was
Pianji
yeah.
was good. Oh, Bouquet.
Joseph Bouquet.
I didn't know he was Joseph Bouquet at first. I thought he was just a stagehand. I thought he was kind of cute.
Yeah, he was. I noticed, because I knew it was him just sort of because of the outfit he was wearing, because he was holding a rope, but, like, he doesn't have a beard of any kind. Usually they do.
And he wasn't, like, short and stumpy. He was cute.
Yeah, well, he also plays he's the Phantom understudy, which is what I was pointing out to you. I'm like, that's strange to have, like, a character who's usually kind of schlubby. I think I've seen a couple where he's not, though, like, but, yeah.
Like, they just kind of put dirt on his face, but, like, that's kind of hot. Like,
Okay.
if you don't have a beard and you're not, like, gross looking, you can't just put dirt on your face and look gross.
Well,
I know this.
Alright. Moving on. Meg, she was there.
Like, what do you say about Meg? Like,
Oh, well,
She was
she
good.
had one good moment, but that's only because of a rewrite. Actually, a couple of good moments. We'll talk about that as we go along, because I want to get into the plot point by point. So any other of the cast, some of the side characters have been cut out or cut down, like the
Ratcatcher.
rat catcher, which I was really disappointed by. I was looking through the program before the thing started. I'm like, are they not going to have a rat catcher? I'm like, I know it's something that doesn't need to be in there, but I really wish it was, because I like that character.
I really liked the fop. I mean, it wasn't James Corden, but
Oh god.
fop was
okay.
good.
Yes. Yeah. People were like, yeah. It was an okay cast.
Yeah, not much to say. Like,
I think it's just because the sets were so different, and I was so distracted by that I couldn't really focus on them as much. So that was a bit of a problem.
did we even talk about the Phantom singing voice, or did we just go off into the hairspray thing?
I think we went off into the hairspray thing because it became a discussion on race. I hope there someday comes a time when, like, having actors who are, like, of a different, like, not usually in a role that has that race, but that it's not, like, it has to be. I
Like,
hope,
it's just like, oh.
I hope there's a day where nobody cares. But yeah, no, I heard people talking, it was,
Dumb.
it's been...
But he was good. Oh wait, I did talk about him because I said about his eyes. He was so...
Well, you're talking about his acting. His acting was
eyes
pretty
were
good.
beautiful. His voice was good.
Yeah, he had a good voice.
Yeah, it was kind of like one of the calmer ones, like not one of the ones who sounds like
Yeah.
the first guy,
Michael Crawford?
Michael Crawford.
Yeah.
His voice is...
Apparently, Robert Guillaume, the one who was Rafiki in Lion King, he apparently replaced Michael Crawford in one of the productions, but I don't think he was the second Phantom. I'm not sure. There's not a lot of information online about that. But anyway, so we went through the cast, right?
Yep.
So it's all good. So should we talk about, as we're sitting in the theater, actually, as I walked into the theater, I was saying to Nicole, because when we were in New York last, we saw it kind of recently, I was like, do you think we're going to be able to read the text on the third covered object that we were just sitting in kind of a weird place where, because we speak French, and I forget what the third covered, there's the chandelier, which is chandelier, and then there's the, whatever the other thing is, and then the third thing, I'm like, are we going to be able to read it? We should get close and see. Walked in, everything's different.
Yeah, change is good.
No. Change is not always good.
Yeah, this change wasn't good. But sometimes, I wouldn't have cared if they had different objects.
Yeah.
A chair,
but,
whatever.
Just by the way, that everything was set up, I was thinking, uh-oh. And I thought, uh-oh, as the thing started. But, so the chandelier, first of all, is not on the stage covered. It's hanging on the ceiling already covered.
Which is wrong, because that's not what the thing says. The guy.
And I think they changed it.
Oh yeah, they did change some of the words too.
They had to change some of the words because they Okay, I'll point this out right now in case I forget. They had to change 6 months in Masquerade to 12 months because it was snowing in the scene All I Ask of You. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did. Thank you, movie version of Phantom of the Opera.
Oh god, yes, that was. Yeah, I don't mind that as much, because I don't care what month Phantom takes place in, whether it's June or whatever, but... So they did change that, I just noticed it, that's all, we'll talk about it later, so anyway, and so we were looking at the sort of stage, talking about what was going to happen and how they were going to change things, and there's this pillar there that's this really fancy pillar. I forget what the different types of pillars are, there's 3 of them, but it was the fanciest kind, and it's just the top part of it.
It was gold and shiny.
Yeah, it was
I was
pinkish.
oh, that's cool.
Also, the font on the signs that said "Lot so and so" the font was bad. I didn't like it.
It was crisp.
It was crisp. It looked
the papers were crisp.
Yeah, it was like it had been printed off on a computer, which probably was. Not even sure if that font existed back then, but whatever. As a detail. But we were looking at all the objects. It's kind of like a weird cluttered thing. It doesn't really work. And then we were sort of debating on what the pillar was going to be used for, because there's a hook on it as well. And I was saying, maybe the hook and the pillar, they're going to be objects that are sold, or maybe it's just going to be there. And then I said, we were sort of wondering if the auctioneer was going to be standing on it. And I said, no, I don't think they do something that obvious and dumb.
Because the pillar's in the middle of the stage. It's not like it's off to the side. It's a big gold pillar thing in the middle of the stage.
It was a little bit off-center, but and I said, no, I think the auctioneer, as always, is going to appear sort of
either at the back, at the top, or either on the side at the top.
Because in the usual way, he's sort of in the center of, this rectangle of the stage, and it's he's sort of upwards and a little bit in shadow with a light on him, and he sort of talks in a creepy voice, and he sets the tone, and he's above everyone else.
He's spooky guy. He's the first spooky guy.
And maybe it's the part can be a bit overacted, but I mean it's silly anyway.
It's Phantom. It's all overacted.
Well, yeah, but and so yeah. But then when everybody started walking onto the stage, and that was the problem though, because usually the lights turn off and then they turn on and then everybody's there and it's in the middle of an auction. And this one they're come follow me to this other part of the auction which we are walking through and which we have been walking through for a long time.
And Raoul is as spry as a 20-year-old.
Okay,
he's just walking.
Okay, that's one. Okay, so they're all walking through and the extra dialogue. I didn't like it, because I think usually it just begins with the crack of a gavel, right? Yeah, he used the cane as a gavel, which was also dumb. But yeah, Raoul was not in a wheelchair. He was standing up, but Madame Giry was in the wheelchair.
That was weird.
And she's usually standing up, but I guess she is older than him.
I was gonna say she's older, and
it makes...
She would be a lot older, but still Raoul should be...
If
you take with the Love Never Dies thing, which no one ever does, he's an alcoholic.
No.
So I imagine that does bad on your body.
Why are you bringing this up?
Why not? It happened, Kristen.
Oh God!
It happened.
If you're talking about Love Never Dies, if anything, this makes it more canon, because Christine dying young would be he would be young as well. But how did Madame Giry then get in the wheelchair as well? It could.
It's all just weird, because the Phantom. How old is he supposed to be? 40?
It depends on the version.
And Christine's probably
20-ish.
I was gonna say like 16 to 18. It's kind of creepy.
It depends. But anyway, like, yeah, they switched Madame Giry and Raoul in the wheelchair, which, like, chronologically makes sense, but it also makes him seem like less of a pathetic, sad old man. Mm-hmm. Which, like, the intro is kind of pointless anyway, but whatever. And, the monkey,
he was so
okay,
good.
so I have mixed feelings on the monkey, because it was a better animatronic prop, because what happens is there's this little multi-sided pyramid that opens up, like
a flower?
Yeah, and then the monkey sits up, and then with the head and starts playing the symbol. We both did the symbol gesture, even though nobody can see us. But which was I don't like the pyramid shape as much because it wasn't very detailed and like, but it was cool because the monkey could hide, and that factors into the lyrics later. But the monkey itself was designed a bit better because the original one, it does look weird. It has like a Krusty the Clown hair. But also, this one looked more like the one in the movie, and the one problem about the 2004 movie is that one of the problems with it is anything it did a little bit better is going to still be bad when it's used in later productions, because it's going to remind me of it. Also, Love Never Dies has, like, wedged its greasy fingers into this and many other, like, even though it's, like, they want to pretend like it never ever happened, it still has influence on things sometimes in subtle ways. And so, and the 2004 movie
you're kind of thinking, like, at the end I was like, I don't feel the Phantom would have done something horrible to her again, like lure her back. Like, I feel like
no, but that's the thing.
Her live her life.
Like, Love Never Dies is like it's a turd, but like we know that. But the problem is that both it and the 2004 movie have had, like, subtle influences on Phantom of the Opera as it exists now, which maybe, like, some people won't notice, but, I don't even know what to say about Love Never Dies. I don't want to talk about it right now, but I had a point to make, but I forget what it was. I was gonna say, if anything, if they were gonna make a change, I wish they had made a really passive-aggressive comment about Love Never Dies in, like, kind of like a way where they, like, just totally put it down, and it would have been funny for me and no one else.
Yeah, because no one else would have gotten it. They'd be like,
something to say it's not canon, and we're not trying to make it canon.
The Phantom has a child with Christine. Oh, that's just the development I wanted to see. That's what they would say.
Let's not talk about Love Never Dies.
Oh, I think that was a spoiler. But, like, who cares?
No.
It's spoiled to begin with.
No. Yeah. Okay, so then, and we were also debating on how the chandelier was going to factor, because the way the overture works usually is, for the first part of it, the chandelier goes into this snap, and then there's electricity, and it rises up off the stage and hangs itself above and stays lit for most of the show.
Lit.
Shut up.
So lit.
And then the rest of the overture is spent on the rest of the opera house sort of rising up and setting up the set for Hannibal. Also, there's usually a border around the stage constantly of all these golden angels, and the top angel, which was not the statue of Apollo, but it kind of is meant to be somewhat, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, because I have something to say about that. But anyway, so the overture starts, and what happens is, as he's talking about the chandelier, he's like, we have the chandelier hanging up there, blah, blah. It slowly starts to lower with the cloth on it, which, and then it, like, opens up, and it, like, makes, like, a snapping sound and turns on, and then it shoots fire. Not like, because the best part of when, don't look at my notifications, Nicole, on the Twitter.
Sorry.
Don't look at it. Okay. We're recording on the phone right now. Because with the first organ, like, note that's really intense and loud, there's the snap of the flash of light on the chandelier, and then it starts rising. But with this, the snapping and stuff comes after, and there's, like, a lot of, and then it starts to rise again after being lowered down.
Yeah.
It was very underwhelming. But
it's a touring production, but I think in the other one, that's no excuse.
Yeah, there's no excuse, because the last time, it literally was the same as any other thing. Like, it maybe didn't go as fast or in the same area it would have, but it still came off the stage, and, okay, and then the set starts to come up, and I'm more like, because the cast of the past, which they start to walk among the auctioneer people. That was dumb. That was really bad.
It was kind of weird. It was like one of those things where they're like, "Oh, look at the past that I'm in. I'm reminiscing."
Yeah, but it didn't work. They had this like smoky scrim across the screen, so it was like supposed to be like memories and stuff. It was done really weird though, because there's this big like orchestral thing playing, and then there's these dancers dancing to it in this, and it ruins the punchline of when Carlotta runs on with a severed head. It ruined that because she's supposed to be the first thing you see, and it's this ridiculous opera thing. And they're just sort of moving around in these really weird dancing gestures and stuff, and it's like it's really cluttered. But the reason I think they did this is because the opera rebuilding itself is really unimpressive compared to the normal version. Like there's less cloths going around, and they don't have the big statues of the cow-headed Egyptian gods.
And they just kind of have people moving in slow motion.
Yeah, it was
like a lot of slow motion in this.
It
like,
looked,
did you notice all the slow motion?
It looked really tacky and lame.
And like tacky for Phantom, that's real tacky.
Yes.
And I love Phantom.
Yes. And anyway, so it starts, and Carlotta has a new kind of severed head, which I don't really mind. I kind of like the original more, but I don't really care. And then she kisses it at one point. I think she just looks at it intensely in the original, but I'm not sure. Maybe different Carlottas do it differently. It got a laugh out of people, but I think it's better when she like looks at it really dramatically and then stares out at the audience and takes a breath. Yeah. There were some things with her character, especially that were like some things were funnier that they changed, and some things were less funny. But anyway, she starts singing. Everyone comes on. They don't have the guy with the lion over his head, and then. Should we talk about the elephant in the room?
That was just a dumb joke, Kristen. I'm really mad at you for making that. Because it was just wrong.
Okay.
I'm really mad.
I know. Okay. So before the show, we were also talking about things they may or may not have, like set pieces, and we were talking about the iconic things, and I'm like, it would be really dumb if they took certain things out. Do you think they'll have this? And I was half joking. I said, do you think they'll not have an elephant? It would be really dumb if they didn't have an elephant. And I almost thought, because they changed the lyrics from one of the verses to not have elephants, and then they just instead had a bunch of people, like, smashing swords together, which I thought, oh, shit, is there not going to be an elephant? But then, from the side of the stage...
snuck a little cute paper elephant.
It was... No, you said it terrible. No. There's a cardboard cutout of a very poorly painted elephant slips out halfway, not even into the center.
Just really peeks its head out, really.
Yeah, and it raises its head, and its eyeball is hinged separately, so it goes backwards, which I think was supposed to either emulate the whites of the eyes of the elephant, but also, I'm not sure, I'm really debating this with myself, because I think maybe it was supposed to look like absolute shit. Which, if it was not, that's a really bad thing, and if it is supposed to look like shit, because it was really poorly painted too, like, even I could have done a better job, and that's saying, like,
I think
so
it
much.
was. I think it was.
I think it was supposed to look like shit, but that's still a very poor choice, because the elephant is such a great set piece in the original. It has the joke where it turns around and there's the drunk stagehands in the back.
And I was kind of wondering, like, oh, they're gonna somehow turn the paper elephant around and they're gonna have the drunk stagehands? Because that's a good joke. That's, like, probably the best joke in the whole entire situation.
It's one of the best set pieces, and it's so memorable, and it's... But and it was the dumpiest looking thing ever. It was so cheap.
But I think it was supposed to be like that.
I think it was, but that's not an excuse. It was like a high school production. I hated it. Anyway, so that happens.
But did they paint the elephant black?
Why are you doing this?
Why not? Because I love...
Why not? Do you want me to answer that? Okay, but anyway, so one thing that's kind of interesting is they had a bit more of the walking through aisles type, which I think the original Phantom missed a bit. I think it was cool. Mm-hmm. But it was mostly on our side, which we were lucky, but on the other side they didn't do much. So Mr. Rey was, like, they say rare because they're not French, but he was standing, and he, Piangi, you know, he has that thing where he messes up Rome, he says Roma, but he usually does a funny thing after he's corrected where he says Rome, and really obviously he's like, tomorrow we shall break the chains of Rome, and he says it, like, really sassily.
Yeah.
He didn't really do that. So then things happen. People dance.
It was pretty good.
They changed a bit of the dialogue, because I think Raul is sort of supposed to be there, and then they announce their retirement. I think they changed stuff, but I don't remember exactly what they changed, but they mixed it up a bit, and they mentioned Christine's father later on, and that's what kind of gets the attention of one of the managers, I think. But anyway,
Yeah. He's just like, is she related to the violinist? Then
yeah, he says
yes,
it
her
later
father.
on, and he's
Oh.
like holding her hand when he says it, and it's like, yeah, doesn't those change, like, it was kind of a pointless change either way. Feel like it could have been done better, but anything else in that area of what happened?
The thing falling on her. It barely fell.
Well, no, it was a sack of, like, those weights instead of a whole curtain.
Like, the curtain on the back went like, okay, wait, you can't see what I'm doing. It went down and up, but not significantly.
No, maybe
It did.
Did
I
it?
saw it.
Okay.
I was looking because I was like, that's not that scary. Like,
No, the curtain is supposed to come in the middle of the stage, though. It usually falls down. But anyway, so yeah,
and
that
it missed her by a mile.
hmm
Like, you shouldn't even be angry about it.
yeah. Well,
It wasn't even near her.
oh, one funny joke they had is her dress knocked over. I think it was actually Meg, or one of the ballerinas anyway.
Yeah, that was good.
That was really funny. It was really well done. The ballerina actress was really good. I think maybe I've seen that before, but then yeah, that happens, and then Christine starts singing.
Yeah,
and
she
she was
does the
good?
little, I'm starting quietly, and then she goes all big and
Yeah,
stuff.
which is
and
good.
It was good. It was
Yeah.
good. All good.
I thought she did it pretty well. Then Think of Me is... Oh, one thing I noticed is that box 5, I think, is kept a little bit darker than the other ones, or maybe it's just where we were sitting, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, so that all happens. I don't think the costumes in the Hannibal number are as good, as they're a little bit too cluttered compared to the old ones, but whatever. Then, after that... What else is happening? Oh, then the stage, there's this really impressive kind of stage thing where it's this big cylinder and it opens up and there's...
Oh, that was cool.
However, when it first started rotating, there was the set that's for, like, Angel of Music, etc., and, like, backstage. It's this, like, red brick, which I don't think red brick is something in that time. Well, even if it's from that time period, it didn't look good. It looks a bit too modern. It looks kind of like a dumpy back alley.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The dark set. The set, I had a problem with some of the set design. The original Phantom, like, the sets weren't the greatest. They were kind of simple, but they had a lot of...
They were neat.
They were neat. They had a lot of dark space and just lit areas, which it was a style and they felt consistent. These sets, they were kind of all over the place a bit.
Yeah. There was I found there's, like, a lot of space. Like...
There was a lot of space in the original Phantom. This one, there was, like, cluttered in some... It didn't draw your eye to some places, and we'll go through the sets as they come. So anyway, this Angel of Music set, and then there's these weird lights that were, like, not electric, but they looked like they were, and it was weird. And the set for the dressing room for Angel of Music, like, at first I had mixed feelings about it, because I'm like, it kind of looks like the ballerina girls, like, getting changed there, and they were...
That's what I thought. I thought it was, like, their warm-up room.
I think I think it is now, instead of her own private dressing room for the
She
thing.
should have her own private dressing room.
Yeah, I like the original set better, but... and I kind of like this one because it reminded me a bit of the book, but they were all getting changed and stuff,
In slow motion.
Yeah, but you know what's weird? It's because the original set is sort of off to the side a bit, and during Angel of Music, the ballerinas are rehearsing, and then Madame Giry comes back for Meg, and it kind of is a bit more organic.
Yeah.
And so, but, this set, and it was kind of really hard to see where everything was from where we were sitting. We had good seats. It was just a bit, like, the angles were weird, and the mirror, I'm like, oh god, please tell me that that's not the mirror, because in the original, it's this big dominating mirror thing, and it's important, but this one, it's like this, it looked kind of dirty, and I think they did that on purpose.
Yeah, I thought it was just, like, I thought it was a rehearsal room, and that was, like, the ballet mirror.
Yeah, well, I didn't even realize it was a mirror at first, and I'm like, is that supposed to be the mirror? Because it's the only kind of flat thing against the wall that could be a mirror.
And then one side of it had kind of, like, little posters or stickers on it, but then the rest of it didn't, and that was...
Oh, that was
That's
bad.
what made me figure it out. I was just like...
Oh, that's
oh.
pretty bad, because I think it should just be a mirror, and, like, there was, like, a dirty part and then a clean part, which was also kind of dumb, but, and so, anyway, that happens, then little Lottie Raoul comes in, then the Phantom shows up in the mirror, and he's not lit with blue, he's lit with, like, warm, kind goldness, which is...
But one thing that was kind of cool about him being darker skinned, I don't know if this is...
Good
like,
God, Nicole.
No, like, it was kind of cool, because, like, all you could see was kind of the mask, because they had it lit where it was just, like, hitting off the mask. You know?
Yeah,
Did you notice that at first?
well, that's
I
what
thought
it
that was
is.
cool.
That's what it's sometimes like in the normal
Oh.
times too. No, usually they have them lit from underneath, I think. Oh, and in this one, he didn't open his cape. I don't think he had
Yeah.
enough room with that mirror.
Stupid mirror.
Yeah. So anyway, and when Raoul bursts into the room, that's one of the problems again with the set is because it's not off to the side. You can't see him walking up to the room and trying to get in, and the door being locked until she goes through. Instead, he just sort of comes in once she's through.
Yeah, he just kind of came in. Like, what if she was changing?
Yeah, and he I guess he heard a voice, but like whatever.
Still.
And anything else?
No.
Oh, the dancers, after Hannibal, they were sort of dressed in like relaxation clothes, but it looked like sweatpants. It was really weird to me.
I did not notice that. Or
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah, so anyway, then I guess we get to the Phantom of the Opera number, which in many ways is good, but in many ways is not.
Yes.
So, they don't have, usually, there's this, set of stairs at the very, very back of the stage that sort of, it tilts one way and then it tilts the other way like they're going down several flights, and it's a little bit boring.
They're not.
Yeah, well,
It's a lie.
It's a little bit plain, but it served its purpose and stuff. And then they come down on this boat, and then there's mist, and then there's these candles on the lake, and then some rise up and become these candelabra things, and there's like a bridge and stuff. But in this one, there's like a wall, and these stairs come out of it, which was a cool effect. But they spent too long on the stairs, though.
Yeah, because, like, the stairs were cool. At first, the stairs, like, weren't there, and there's not even a platform, and they opened a door to, like, a big drop, and I was like, oh no, how are they gonna get down? And then the platform came out, and I was like, okay. But there's no stairs. Is it an elevator? And then the stairs came out, like, 3 at a time as they were going down.
I couldn't even see. It was a little bit darkly lit, whether or not the platform had anything leading down from it. I have an issue with the lighting, especially in this scene, because it's usually sort of blue. This one was like a whole bunch of colors. It was like sometimes gold, sometimes washed out, but the blue gives a really like mysterious cold feel to the sewers, and this one was just kind of bleh.
Yeah.
So they go down the stairs, and then the boat comes from, is it stage left or stage right?
Stage right. It came from stage right.
Stage right, yep. And it comes and it has this big flaming fire thing on the front, which I thought was fine.
Yeah.
Because usually, I don't really like the boat prop. It's just kind of plain in the original, but it's fine. And then he sits in it. The boat
pushes it.
Yeah, the boat goes across the stage, and that's all. Usually, it comes from back to front.
Yeah, it normally goes around a bit more, and the candles rise up. But it just kind of went through like the dry ice or smoke, and then it stops, and then she has to walk through the sewer.
Yeah, that's a little weird. But
She's standing in the sewer.
One thing I like is I never really liked the fact that the boat became a bed, and that's where she lies. I think they should have just, and they fix that. They have a like bed thing here, so she has a bed, which gets a little weird later. There's a little bit of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about that. So then, music of the night happen. Oh, another thing about the Phantom's Lair is probably the worst set of all of these ones because there's so many colors in it and it's so confusing. There's like a red curtain at the back. There's a no smoking printed on the wall.
That was so weird.
That was weird.
That implies that people would have to be down there.
Yeah.
To know not to smoke.
I
and
don't
plus,
even know.
it was Paris, so everyone smokes no matter where you are.
Yeah, I'm not even sure why that.
Also, there were little organ pieces hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah, that was, and the organ faces.
That made me laugh.
The organ usually the organ faces so that when the Phantom is playing it, he's facing away from the audience, which is better for a later scene. In this one, and it has like little gears and pumpy things in this one, and I liked it because it used to have like all these dripping candle things, and it was kind of a simple thing, but now there's like all these things attached to it, and it doesn't. It looks messy in a different way.
Like he could have honestly been on an episode of Hoarders.
Yeah, there was like it was a bad set, I think.
I didn't mind it too much. Like
it's kind of hard to see in some places.
It was a bit busy, and
too many lighting.
I think if they maybe had either had the organ higher up or like.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Up a set of stairs, that would have been better.
Yeah, like somewhere where you can see it more, because Christine's lying on the bed on stage left, and then he's on stage right, and then it's just kind of weird.
So anyway, Music of the Night happens, and I'm kind of glad they changed some of the choreography, because I think of all the musical numbers, that's one that kind of drags a bit, because they're just sort of walking around doing things, and some of the, like, original choreography is kind of interesting, like when he pushes her face away and stuff, that's kind of iconic when he holds his arm across her like a triangle.
Yeah, like he's, like, trying to steal her.
And they tried to make this one more interesting, and for a little while it was good, but then they do something kind of silly, like, he takes out a blindfold, puts it on Christine, and, like, walks her around, and I said to Nicole, I'm like, it's kind of like a Febreze commercial where they blindfold someone, and it's like, surprise, you're in a sewer under an opera house, but it smells like flowers. It was weird. I understand kind of what they were going for.
And it was a fancy blindfold. I'm just gonna say that the Phantom is, like, the fanciest ghost that has ever existed.
Okay, I don't think there's any debate about that, but...
Like, Casper doesn't even have pants. He ain't got nothing.
Yeah, okay. So, there was a lot more choreography with that, and then at one point, she sort of goes into his arms, and he carries her, which the reason they do that is because they didn't have the bride jumping out of the mirror in this, which I don't miss, I don't really care about that, but it is weird when she just jumps into his arms like a teenage girl.
And she also just willingly sleeps in the thing, like...
She doesn't faint?
Yeah, she doesn't faint. She just kind of willingly goes in the bed with a stranger. Well, he's not in the bed.
I wouldn't mind if she just went to go to sleep and he, like, sang her to sleep, but it's the fact that she went in his arms like he was pulling her out of the water in a beach.
It's kind of like the Electro Complex thing. Like an extent. It's like...
It's not.
He's putting her to bed.
Well, kind of.
It's like...
It's weird, but anyway.
It's just he's so old if you think about it.
Yeah.
And she's young.
Okay.
It's gross.
Anyway, the next scene happens, and they kept that thing where the organ doesn't wake her up, but the monkey does, which never makes sense.
No. What the heck? I was like, how are you not stirring? And then...
No, I think it's meant to be, like, somehow, but I don't really
symbolic,
know.
Like,
I don't know what they're...
he can wake her.
No.
Not in a sexual way.
Oh my god, shut up. Anyway, I don't know what they do with that. So anyway, and he's sitting at the organ...
Writing a little song, doing
and he's facing the audience, which is, because usually, like, he's playing the organ and she wakes up, and then he's facing away, and he's sort of not knowing she's there, he's doing his own thing. And this wouldn't be bad on its own, but then, he, like, stands up as he's writing, he takes off his own mask,
puts it on the little table beside him,
starts wiping his face for 5 fucking minutes, and I'm like, oh my god, seriously? Are they gonna do this? And then she walks over, picks up his mask, and then turns him around to look at him, and he, like, reacts...
He does the freak out.
He does the freak out, and I'm like, buddy, you have no reason to, like, you brought this upon yourself if you just... And it's the dumbest change ever, because it ruins the very point of that scene. It's like the dumbest thing.
And it's like, you have the right to be humiliated, but it's not her... It just, it's like freaking out.
I have no idea. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, okay, I see what you mean, but, like, I have no idea what was going through their heads when they did that, because like, he lashes out at her in the original because she takes off his mask.
Calls him, like, her, like, a viper. And a...
Vixen in one?
Panora.
It's Pandora, oh my god.
Panora. Panora.
That's, like, the Jewish equivalent.
Oh.
Because it rhymes with menorah.
Oh. No, that's not a very funny joke. But,
no. Anyway.
And, like, you lying little viper, now you cannot...
He says viper or vixen, it depends on the version.
I like a viper.
Yeah, and so he lashes out, and, like, that was just such a dumb choice. It makes no sense.
It just makes him look like a bad person.
Well, he's a bad person. Like, yeah, and then the thing is like, and then he's, like, sort of running away from her, and usually they end up on one side of either side of the stage, and then he sort of crawls towards her. And, another thing is he didn't cover his face with his hand.
Yeah,
it was like,
see it all.
It was like, not all of it because of the wig, but you could see most of it, and I'm like, that is a really dumb idea, because, like, you're supposed to save it until the end because there's that musical cue in Point of No Return when she takes it off. And I said to Nicole when we were in the bathroom, in the intermission, I said, the way they can redeem this is if, when she takes off his mask the second time, it's about his fear in regards to the audience, not the real audience, the audience within the universe, and he's like, but they didn't do that. I was hoping they would. So
we'll get to that part later.
This is like, really dumb. It's like if they remade Jaws and then the shark is just constantly in sight. It's one of those. So... that was a dumb idea, and that's why, because Phantom has been around for so long, people expect him to be deformed, but you can't take that out of the story anyway, just because people expect it, really, because...
Unless you're the movie and you just have him have, like, a mild allergic reaction on his face.
That was awful. But, like, and, so, like, this, it was just awful, because they still have the musical cue in Point of No Return, which also still makes no sense in a different way, we'll get to that. anyway, and so she hands him back his mask, which doesn't make much sense in this one, because usually it's sort of this, like, sad, compassionate gesture where she's, like, letting him conceal himself again, but it's still kind of sad that he needs to, and it's, like, a really, like, it's sweet of her, but it's also kind of sad, and it's, like, yeah, so anyway, that happens. Should end this part of the...
Yes.
Next scene is in the manager's office, which is painted a hellish red.
I didn't mind that. I thought it looked regal.
No, I don't really like the office set in the original, but, like, it was too red, it was too bright, and I'm like, the colors, like, are just awful.
I thought it was neat, though. It just opened up out of the big cylinder thing like a little dollhouse, and I really like that. It's like a little hidden room.
It was alright, yeah, but it was also kind of like the angles were just a little bit weird. Like, they had some stuff, like, posters on the wall from previous operas and some, like, stuff on the desk. That was okay. So then they have notes, the whole thing with... That's not even close to the melody.
There's nothing really to say about that part.
No, well...
It went on as usual.
Yeah, I think, one thing I like is when they have the notes and they say, like, let me see it. I like it when they don't shout it. I like it when they're like, let me see it.
Yeah.
Instead of just shouting it, because otherwise it sounds too chaotic. There was a couple of things in that scene where there was, like, humor things that somewhat changed. There was an added joke, and I forget what it was, but it was funny.
It was that one. Shenanigans.
No. That was a different... I didn't think that one was as funny. He was... it was implied that he was going to say shit, but then changed to gibberish when it was just gibberish in the original. So, like...
Yeah. Haha. But
in this one, there was a funny... I forget what it was, but it was between the two managers, and they, like, did something. What did they do?
They were drunk a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, but something funny happened. I forget what it was.
Good work.
Then...
Good review.
Then prima donna happens. I like that they showed her getting changed into the dress like this one. That was kind of lifted from the movie, but it was good. And one thing I don't like in the original version of Notes is when the Phantom voice is going and reading it. They sort of walk around and pace kind of randomly, and it looks kind of stagey and it's weird.
Well, the Phantom was above them at that time, and so were the people reading the notes. But like, and his voice started, and his lips.
No. That's not meant to be his voice, though. What? No, he's not literally there. It's just a.
No, I know. It's just kind of weird.
Okay.
That nobody's mouths were moving.
Yeah, because usually he just sort of reads through the whole thing, I think. But I guess it depends. Maybe I've seen it differently. But another thing they do usually is that the Phantom's voice, when he's reading out the note, it travels from all over the like a surround sound thing in the theater. It was a little bit tacky in the original. I think now they just did it from left to right and front, and I think that was fine. Mm-hmm. Anything else there? No. After Prima Donna, Il Muto, I don't think the set was as good. There's no bed in the middle.
Not much to say.
No, I have a few things to say. The guy who was the husband was really good.
Oh yeah, he was so good. I love him. Yeah. Like, it's like a show can be so much better if, like, not the huge parts are so good. Yeah. Like, he was so good.
He was really funny. He was, like, the best I've seen in that part. And I forget one of the lines he said really well. A couple of them, actually. Yeah. And then it sort of proceeded as usual. And then, you know, the thing happens where the Phantom freaks out at them. And it shows his shadow on the wall in, like, a really bad, like, jerky frame rate shadow that is clearly projected, and it's really tacky, and I don't like it.
I didn't mind it so much. It just didn't work for me somehow.
No.
But, like, the shadow...
I liked it...
The shadows get worse.
No. I liked it better when it's just his voice to start off with, and then...
Yeah. I think voice is creepier, because where is he? Shadow, it's like... He's somewhere.
The shadow... Well, okay, I'll talk about that in a second. So, anyway, Il Muto, and then they sort of go, and Carlotta sprays her voice thing, which is implied to now be the reason why she does that, which I guess it's kind of okay to have an explanation. It was more mysterious in the original musical.
Like, how did he do it?
And now we know. This comes from the movie also. Well, in the book, he just sort of projected his voice, like he could throw his voice into hers.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's
Her frog was really good.
Oh
Her
yeah, I was just about to say that. So like, yeah. Anyway, I don't really like the voice projecting thing either, but I don't like the spray that much. I don't really care. But anyway, her toad. Some Carlottas are really bad at making toad sounds, but hers was perfect and it was really funny.
I liked her.
Yeah, so that was pretty good, and oh, so then the part starts where he's is it Ferme or Andre? I think it's Ferme. Which one is it? It doesn't matter. One of the managers comes on. And he's like, "We're gonna show the ballet from Act 3 of tonight's opera," and then and one of the cast members, because the curtain came down and he got stuck in front of the curtain, and that almost worked as a joke, but then it kind of went on a little bit too much, where he was like bowing to the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. They just should have done it a bit better. And then, Mr. Ferme or whatever, whichever one it was, might have been, no, it was one of the managers. And he sort of shoos the guy off, but it's in a really weird way. I think they could have done that better, but it was still a good addition.
I liked it.
Yes, and then, the ballet starts up, and there is something deeply wrong because the set sort of shifts where to the right from where we're sitting. You can see the backstage with Joseph Bouquet, and I was freaking out because I'm like, oh god, please don't let them show the Phantom hanging him, and that's kind of what they did. So
Yeah.
oh, okay. So the one thing I liked in the ballet, but the reason they kind of screwed this up though, because these guys come out in these really prissy fawn outfits with like goat bottoms.
Oh, I liked that.
It's usually just like the ballet people and then the shepherd, and then they sort of dance around, and then the Phantom's shadow, it appears on the back of the like the scene, occasionally, periodically doing mysterious things, and one of the ballerinas at one point gets distracted by it, looks back, and then the shepherd bangs his cane and she like smiles again, and that's a funny joke that they had to take out of this. But it would have worked if they had made these fawns, because they're more prissy and funny, because the ballet is supposed to be like this funny thing that everyone's unprepared and stuff. Mm-hmm. But on the side, the whole time, you see the Phantom come out in this, like, sneaky stagehand outfit. He's like, you can see him in disguise with a robe.
He still has the mask, but he has a little hat on.
It's the dumbest thing. And then, not only do they show him, like, hanging Joseph Bouquet the whole time, but instead of him dropping, like, his corpse dropping down in the middle of the ballet and being, like, a jump scare, he lifts up on the noose.
And no one in the audience would have even been able to see that. Like, if it was a real ballet. It would have been like...
No, because it happened backstage. Yeah. It made no sense even within the context.
Plus, I kind of like the mystery of, like, whether or not the Phantom did hang Bouquet. Like, we all know he did, but maybe he didn't.
No, like, it was like a scary thing when you didn't know what he was... Like, you saw something sinister happening with his shadows, but...
Yeah. Like, what's going on?
So that's... They ruined the shadow thing. And, like... So, it was like with the chandelier, he just rises up only to come back down, and it's like the most unimpressive thing ever, too, and I hated it. I guess it's impressive that they, like, hung the actual guy instead of a mannequin, but that's not, it ruins everything still.
And I was, like, thinking they were gonna, like, have him pull away and sneak away backstage and then pull the mannequin down, because I didn't see any strings or anything, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, so anyway, that happens. He gets hanged. Hanged. No, it's hanged.
Written.
Shut up. Oh my god. And so Christine and Raoul, they go up to the rooftop set, and this is, I think, one of the new sets that actually I like, but it's in a weird way, because they have the statue of Apollo, and it looks pretty much exactly like it does on the actual opera house, and he actually has a penis. It's cool.
Oh yeah, the lighting on that was really good. A+.
No, I couldn't really see it that well. Oh, is that what you meant?
Well, no. There was like... The lighting was just really nice, whereas half lit, half shaded.
Yeah. And anyway, and it's snowing, and it's snowing kind of like, the rhythm of the snow, I know you can't really control this, you can somewhat with whatever you use for snow, but the rhythm of the snow didn't quite fit with the scene. I don't know if it'd be better symbolically if it started snowing before or after they, like, have their argument or whatever.
Oh, or like when Phantom is there.
Yeah. I don't know, I think maybe symbolically, I don't know, I don't care either way, but... So yeah, the statue of Apollo is kind of cool. I was wondering because I'm like, they don't have the top part of the border with the statue. How is he gonna come down? How's the Phantom gonna come down on it? Yeah. What?
Come down on it.
What?
I think that's a sex thing.
That's not. It's go down on someone.
Oh. Well.
Okay.
We tried.
You tried. So, and then he's on the statue of Apollo, and right, okay, so all I ask of you, one good thing they added, it wasn't done that great, but Christine, it's implied that she almost commits suicide.
Oh yeah, that was really
That
neat.
was cool. She goes, like, to the edge of the stage, and there's, like, wind noises, and she's spreading her arms, and
It's
then...
like a Titanic kind of thing.
Yeah, no, well, not in the same context.
No. But I'm just giving them a visual. They can't see.
And it's good, and then Raul sort of comes to her, and I think they could have done it a bit better, but that's a really good idea. It sort of adds something.
Where it adds how she's overwhelmed, and how Raul doesn't believe her. He's so mean, and in this one I thought he was a lot less unsympathetic.
I didn't really notice anything.
I did.
Yeah, but anyway.
I'm in tune.
So, All I Ask of You happens, and yeah, since it was snowing, they have to change the line, as we said before, later on. So then... Near the end, when they're kissing and stuff, this golden light shines down on the lyre of Apollo, and it makes this really cool smoke effect where the strings of the lyre have, and it makes beams, and it was really cool. The problem is that they sort of kept this as the Phantom appears on it, which was not good. Also, the statue of Apollo started moving forward as Raul was leaving the stage. I think it should have done that after, because that would have been more poignant. Also, we saw the Phantom crawl behind it. That was a bit of a problem.
I hate when that happens, but I guess they can't really control that.
Yeah.
He was smaller, nimbler.
So, it was, so I feel mixed about the statue of Apollo, because it's more accurate, it's cooler in some ways, but he also doesn't come down from the ceiling as much of a surprise. And again, they kept that golden lighting, which is, like, the lighting, I don't think it was symbolic very well.
But I thought the little beams of light were cool. I'll give them that.
In what?
Coming through the trident.
It's not even close to a trident. It's a lyre, you dumb fuck. I literally said it like 5 seconds ago.
I haven't been listening to you.
Okay, well, okay. So anyway, yeah, that was cool. It's just they shouldn't have kept it with the Phantom. And I was hoping, because when he says, you will curse the day you didn't do all that the Phantom asks of you. Usually what happens is... Sorry, the cat just walked up on the table. He's being a jerk.
Oh, he's so cute. Come here, Fluffy.
Usually what happens is the border with all of the naked angels that are all painted in gold, their faces are usually like... They're in this smiling, joyous sort of mobile thing. Don't make him meow.
He won't.
And so... But then when he says this last line, he sort of like... gets really angry, and then all of the angels, their eyes and mouths go into this, like, hellish orange color, and all of a sudden it looks terrifying, and I was hoping they'd do that on the statue of Apollo, or at least have it, like, underlit, so it looks more sinister. They didn't do that, though.
I didn't find they did the sinister stuff as sinister.
No. He wasn't kept in shadow as much.
No.
You could sort of see the Phantom a lot of the time.
Yeah, he was there a lot.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know.
There was too much lighting. Phantom was usually sort of darker.
Yeah.
And so anyway, then the chandelier crash, I was expecting it to be disappointing, and it wasn't as disappointing as I was expecting, but it still was. It didn't crash onto the stage. It just sort of like...
Fell.
It dropped down, and then there was like a lot of popping sounds, and then the lights went to black as it was just about to hit the audience. It was kind of cool because it went over their heads, but it was like dangling over their heads.
Yeah, it went down pretty far.
Yeah.
Not quick, but not slow. Like, it was medium.
But it just went straight down. I think it's better when it, like, falls onto the stage because it feels like an actual threat.
Yeah.
Instead of just whoop, whoop. Yeah.
It's kind of like a spider.
Yeah. The design of the chandelier also, I forgot to mention, I kind of like it better. It's a bit more crystally, which looks more like a real chandelier. It's a little bit too bright. I don't really know. It was fun.
Yeah, it was a chandelier.
Yeah.
Did its job.
The original one, it's like this big bulky thing with giant lights on it, like orange lights, and but like it has to be to crash down, and if the reason that they don't crash this one is because it has crystal on it, then I'd oppose that design choice.
I mean, I imagine it wouldn't have real crystals. It would probably have just plastic.
No. The original, I think, has beads of certain kinds, too. Also, you said, I think part of the chandelier, like, because there's, like, these popping electricity things with fire and stuff. I think part of it fell on you, and we actually kept it.
Yeah.
But I would like to someday discover that it was actually just somebody throwing plastic at you.
Yeah, it probably was that, because it felt like somebody just flicked me on the back, and I was like, who did this? Who did this? And I was really mad about it. But I think it was the chandelier. But maybe it wasn't.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't.
So then intermission happens. And then also the curtain, I forgot to mention this during Think of Me. Usually they show the curtain, the red curtain come down, and then the perspective changes, and it's from where, because usually she's performing to the audience during Think of Me, and then at the end of Think of Me, the curtain comes down in the middle of the stage, and then the audience...
becomes the back of the stage.
Yeah, in universe, it's back of the stage and shows her bowing.
Like in Jersey Boys, which I really love.
And then it shows, like, her backstage and stuff. But this curtain, they didn't do that, and this curtain prop had, like, red angels drawn on it. One with, you pointed out, anatomically weird legs.
Yeah, that was... It bugged me.
They were trying to draw crossed legs, but her thigh was on the wrong side of her body.
So she was doing, like...
They can't see you, Nicole.
I know, but she was doing, like, a squat, but she was supposed to be, like, a squat with crossed legs, but they just attached the leg that was crossed onto the wrong side.
It was kind of a messy curtain thing. I didn't really like the art on it that much.
Yeah.
I didn't like the idea of it. It was a bit busy, not really simple. One thing about Phantom of the Opera is it feels better when it feels like you're actually in the opera.
Yeah.
So that's why.
The whole thing. You kind of want to forget that you're even watching the Phantom of the Opera.
Mm.
Like, what I like is when you're watching the ballet and you're like, oh, this is a nice ballet. And then all of a sudden a body falls and you're like, oh no, who did this?
She just slapped her cheeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then you forget. And then you remember and you're like, I'm stupid. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, it is. You are stupid.
I am. It's fine. We all know this.
So anyway, the entr'acte happens, and then, another thing that happened.
Oh my God.
I was saying, hey, do you think they're gonna have Rooster Guy? Because there's this one mannequin on the staircase that it's my favorite. It's a rooster, and he's in this really weird pose, and I think it's kind of an interesting meme thing.
Loves the cock.
Fuck you.
A lot of people would.
Oh my God, I walked right into that. But anyway, yeah. So. And I'm like, do you think they're gonna have dummies in this, or like, do you think they're gonna have like actual cast? And then Nicole's saying, do you think they're gonna have a staircase at all? I'm like, and I was gonna say something like, no, they have to have the staircase because it's too iconic. But then again, they have sort of changed some things in here that are really for the worse. But, and I was like, no, there's no way. The curtain rises. There's no staircase.
Nope.
Well, okay, first of all, it starts off, I'm like, oh, this is promising, because on either side of the stage, there's these golden statues. Somebody bumped them at one point. That was a little bit stressful.
I know.
It sort of wiggled back and forth. That happened with the statue of Apollo a bit, too, which took me out of it a bit. But,
I hate when statues wiggle.
So anyway, they were pretty cool things on either side of the stage. And then Andre and Fairman walk on, but they changed the joke somewhat, because usually the joke is that they're sort of nervous and they're looking around, and they walk backwards and bump into each other, which is a reference to the book. Because I'm not going to explain it. And then they sort of realize there's someone behind them, and they think it's a phantom, and they realize it's each other. In this one, they're kind of trying to guess who they are, because they think one of them might be the phantom. But it also doesn't make sense, because the first one takes off his mask.
Yeah, and then the second guy's like, and are you Andre? It's like, you can see his face unless your mask does not have eye holes. Unless that ridiculous nose is blocking your eye holes.
They both had long nose masks.
They looked funny.
Yeah, and so then, and then the curtain rises, and there's no staircase.
That was, I about peed myself.
I looked at you with it.
Like, I said to myself, if there's no staircase, I'm going to throw myself underneath the chandelier. Like, and there was no staircase.
I like at least, though, that they based what was there on an actual room in the Paris Opera House. Yeah. We went there once, so we know. And,
we're very privileged.
But, yes, we are. But, but we were actually in that room, and I don't know if it could probably hold as many people were on stage at, like, physically there now, but within the universe of the movie, it's more impressive when you think it's a bigger party than it is. But I was worried, though, since there's mirrors all around. I was worried. I'm like, oh, are they gonna repeat that shitty ass scene in the movie where there's like a phantom is with the mirrors and stuff? They didn't do that, so it's weird that they like changed that.
I have no trouble with changing iconic things, but unless the changes don't work, well, I do have trouble with changing iconic things. But I didn't feel it was as impressive. Like, the staircase is an impressive set.
There's a reason things are iconic, and one of the bad things about removing the staircase as well, there's several things. The first part is that the costumes aren't as interesting, because on the staircase, there's these dummies. One of them is the rooster, as we mentioned. There's like a bull, there's a lion, there's all these things, and they sort of bump around, and the people talk to them to pretend they're, like, human beings, and it fools a lot of people. But now the costumes are, like, they were all just kind of like boring masks.
Dresses.
Oh, they don't have the monkey person anymore. There's usually a person dressed as the monkey who also has the symbols. I'm not sure why, but they don't have that anymore, and there's not a diversity in costume in this.
It's just kind of like half masks.
Yeah, Christine and Raul's costumes are similar, but not the same. Meg's costume is a little bit different. I like they had a little thing going on the side where she was drinking and her mom caught her, but they kind of botched it a little bit. But it would have been funny if they'd done it right. And I was like thinking, where is the Phantom going to appear? I'm like, okay, obviously from the mirror at the back. I wonder if he's going to like walk through it really impressively. And then sort of when I was knowing that the musical cue was going to happen, where he was going to appear, everybody was in a line from back to front, and I'm like, oh, he's going to be at the end of the line. It's going to be like a sneaky thing.
That would have been cool.
I thought they were setting that up, but then instead the back of the mirror just opens, and there's this bright white light. And okay. No, don't say anything yet, because I thought to myself, I'm like, they borrowed a lot from the movie, which is not necessarily a good thing if they borrow the wrong thing. And I said to myself, it would be incredibly stupid if, instead of, because usually he appears in the Red Death costume, and it's really impressive, and there's this, like, partly robotic face, I think it's robotic, with a jaw, and it looks like a skull, and his whole face is covered, and it's this big poofy outfit. It's really terrifying, stands out. But in the movie, he just has this, like, top skull part, and he's dressed kind of sexily, and he's like Gerard Butler, and I hate it. And I'm like, if they do that in this version, like, that's just gonna be awful. It's gonna be the worst thing. And they didn't do that. Instead, they did something much, much worse.
He looked like a bedazzled transformer.
You said that, like really bitchly.
It just bugs me. Like,
no, okay, he came in, and he doesn't... Instead of a skull, he has a bedazzled silver mask.
No, it's gold.
Was it gold?
Yeah.
Okay, well, he has... In any case, it has, like, all these little jewels, and it's like, it's like the least scary thing imaginable.
It's like he went into Michael's, and then fell into, like, the sale bin and said, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Like... You don't need that many sparkles.
You're not good at being funny.
I don't care.
And
he had so many sparkles.
It was really unfrightening. And then the rest of his costume was not even like a Red Death thing. It was like he had like green on it, and it was just he looked like he was out of some like army thing, but like a really bad one, and it was like kind of plain and weird. It was just like dumb. And usually they have this thing where he walks down to the bottom of the stairs in the Red Death costume, and then there's this fire, and he drops down, and then he appears in a split second. It's a different actor, obviously, on the top of the stairs in the Red Death costume. But it's like a cool magic effect. They didn't do that in this one. He just sort of like, what even happened?
Okay, I have a question. You know how there's that last fireball at one of the points? Was it supposed to look like he disappeared? Because there was just kind of a fireball, and then he walked behind it.
Oh, okay. I guess that's what they did, yeah.
I was like, what?
That's what it was. The pyrotechnics in this are both better and worse in certain places. Thing on the boat was unneeded. We'll talk about the rest later because it's coming up. Anyway, so the stage, so there was sort of like the fire at the front, which is cool. It was very warm. It was bright. And then, the masquerade scene is over, and then Raoul goes to talk to Madame Giry, and during the part where she's narrating about the circus thing, there's, like, shadows on the back wall with, like, circus... jugglers and, like, circus things, which would have been cool, except for where we were sitting, we couldn't really... because it was sort of off to one side, and it looked like a little bit, like, distorted. It would have been cool if they had done it a bit better and used more of the stage for that.
Because I just saw the juggler, that's all.
That's one case where I would have been okay. I think they showed the ringmaster or whatever beating the Phantom.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too. That was sad.
Yeah. I didn't really know which one was which, though, but, until that happened. And then, so, she's sort of telling him the story. I wish they'd done that a bit better. That's where I would have been okay with shadows used in, like, the weird digital way. And then, there's a stagehand standing up on the set, the whole time that I was confused. I thought, is that going to be the Phantom? Is he going to come and reenact something? But it was just a stagehand. The reason he's there, they didn't make it very clear, but he makes a noise which scares Madame Giry. Sorry, did I say Carlotta earlier?
I don't think so.
I hope I didn't, because that would be dumb. Yeah, no, Madame Giry, and the noise he makes scares her, and that's the only reason he's there.
Did he make it? Because I was just like, why is that guy up there? Like, did he just sneak on by accident?
Yeah, no, that's
like,
why...
it just started rotating and he didn't know what to do.
It wasn't made clear enough, but yeah. So that happens, what's the scene after that? Oh, is it Notes? The second part? Yeah. Second part happens, I think a couple of jokes in that were made less funny by the way they were acted, but I don't really remember. Still that hellish red of a set. I think I had some minor problems with some things that I'm forgetting, but whatever. So that thing happens, and then...
Phantom's Lair next?
No, not at all. Sorry, I have to shift because my butt is asleep. So they talk about that. Okay, one good thing at the end of... Okay, I'm going to talk about a couple good things. At the end of the Notes... Oh, wait, is it? Yeah, at the end of the Notes scene... Okay, I thought they were going to do something better because, you know when Christine runs away and Raoul goes after her and she says, like, I can't do it? Usually she just sort of runs off, and I thought they were going to extend it to where she kind of agrees because the scene after she is in there rehearsing. But instead they made it worse by having Raoul be a bit more aggressive. Yeah. I think that's what you're talking about when you're saying, yeah.
Like, he's not understanding at all, I didn't feel in this.
Oh! I think it happens at this point. Christine slaps him.
Oh, yeah, she slapped him.
But it was done very poorly.
She didn't really... It was kind of more like a tap. Like a...
Yeah, no, it didn't look like it hurt him, and, like, I saw what they were going for there because... And it should have been a big thing. There should have been a pause and, like, a horrified moment of silence, like the suicide thing.
Where he realizes what he's doing.
Yeah, or, like, where she, like realizes
how crazy
that she's
everyone's acting.
Like, where she's become unhinged. It's like the suicide thing. Both of those moments could have been done better, but this one especially. There was just no time to register it. It just sort of happened, and it was like, no one really reacted.
Like, one of Christine's big story arcs, not that she has, like, a huge one. Not that there's not really a big anything in this. But, is that she's finally learned how to take control of herself, and that was, like, starting to become... That was, like, the slap was, like, the first thing where she's starting to make her own decisions and not let...
She's been haunted and creepy. She's afraid constantly. Her. Yeah.
But
well,
they could have made it better.
Yeah.
The slapping?
Yeah, that...
Like, it was her first decision.
Should have been... No. That's... What the hell? That's totally wrong. She's supposed to be coming... Like, she would be unhinged and hurting the people around her. That's what I was sort of thinking it was supposed to be.
Oh, I was thinking more like everyone's always just trying to get her to do her own... To do their thing instead of just letting her actually decide.
Oh. Like, I don't...
Even at the end, it's like the Phantom's like, me or him.
No, I know that's like... I see that as a theme, but I don't think the slapping thing would have worked with that.
Oh, I do.
Okay, well, we have different opinions on domestic abuse, I guess.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Taking control of your own life.
Yes. So, anyway. And after that, there's a nice moment... I don't know if they've done this before, but in the transition to the graveyard scene, there's a moment where Christine looks at Meg and they kind of have a moment of... Oh, shit! I forgot to mention the rehearsal scene. I was gonna go. Okay, so the rehearsal scene happens. They're not all sitting on a bench, a series of benches, rows, bleachers. Instead, they're just sort of, like, crouched down like there is a bleacher there, but they're not in it. And it's also facing diagonally instead of frontwards, and it's like... And I was like, wow, that looks really cheap. And then they're, like, doing things, and then... There's a piano, and it starts to play itself, and
the flames go up.
I was gonna say, that's a pyrotechnic that was kind of cool, because when the piano starts to play itself, it's like, okay, it's a self-playing piano, but in this one, the candles on it started, like, doing these crazy fire things, and I thought that was really neat, but I also noticed that the notes on the piano did not match to what the music was doing, but that's...
Thank you, Kristen.
That's just me.
It is. Like, no one else looks like, oh no, that's not a middle C. That's an A flat.
Well, it wasn't, like, that bad, but, yeah. And, okay, the graveyard set, I both like and dislike it, because it's a bit too crowded on either side, but there's, instead of just, I think the graveyard set is kind of weak in the original, too, because it's just a wall, and then the Daae tomb in the middle, and then a cross on top covered in, like, fake leaves. In this one, there's a cross to the sort of left with, a violin and a thing that says die, and then there's a stone angel, which I'm like, oh, that's where the phantom comes from, because angel. It's sort of to the right and back. But the problem is that it's not high up so that he can have that advantage thing, and that changes the blocking later on, but I would have preferred if maybe behind the angel there was the stone wall that he still came up on, and like, anyway, so she sings Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again. The lyrics at one, they've changed those lyrics before, I know, but they stop moving around, Nicole.
Sorry, I'm comfortable and I really have to pee.
Okay, so anyway, they changed the lyrics for a little portion of it. It was fine. It was talking about 3 years of stuff. She acted that really well, and I think she added depth to it in a certain way. Like, she acted it in I forget exactly what she did. Anyway, but that musical number happens, and the phantom shows up behind the angel, and he's just sort of like, he's on the ground, which kind of ruins the fact that he's in power over her at this moment.
Yeah.
He just sort of shows up, and so that's a problem.
That was a lot of the problem. It's just like he'd just be there.
He'd just be there instead of, because usually
he'd just walk on stage right, like cue phantom stage right. No.
Like usually later on when he becomes a threat, like after actually. Mostly when Joseph Bouquet gets hanged and he becomes an actual threat, he's shown as always appearing above the characters before being revealed.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's, like, basic language of blocking. So, in this one he's just sort of on ground level. And then he sort of lures her forward and Raoul shows up. And in this one they sort of, like, grab each other around and, like choke each other. And they're the problem is, you shouldn't be able to touch the phantom at this point. She shouldn't be within access. He should always have the upper hand. Mm-hmm. So when you're able to, like...
punch him.
Yeah, which is also the problem with the sword fight in the 2004 version. Let's not talk about that.
And also the gun. He has a gun on him, doesn't he?
Who?
Doesn't Raoul in the movie have a gun pointed at the phantom? And then
no, he has a sword. He has a sword. It was a sword fight.
Oh, he has a sword, and then Christine's like, not like this.
Yeah, and then...
How? When you're on stage, that didn't work out for you, did it?
Yeah, no. That was dumb, but they didn't really do, like, this in this one, but I was, like... I thought to myself, oh, since he's not on the wall now, he's not going to be able to do the staff with the skull that spits fireballs, and he didn't. Instead, there was a different effect where, like, he would gesture, and then there would be, like, this poof of sparks and smoke on stage at random areas.
It was like Elsa, but with fire.
Yeah, it was weird, because I think the delay was purposeful, but there was a delay between him doing it and that. But you know what bothers me about that? Like, it wasn't that bad of an effect, but what bothers me aside from the, like, blocking of all that is that there's no reason why he's able to do it. Because when he has a staff with the skull, the fire comes out. So they felt the need to explain why Carlotta could croak, but not why he can summon fire from thin air. Does he have the graveyard rigged?
Maybe.
How would he know to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes no sense.
Unless he was throwing little things.
Yeah.
Like little...
I expected, because I looked at his hand and I thought I saw, like, a pyrotechnics thing. I thought he was going to be able to shoot it out of his hand like Mickey Mouse or something.
Out of his fingers?
Yeah, Phantasmic with a PH.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. But, shit, what was it? I was going to make a joke about Phantom of the Opera and theme parks don't go well together.
Yeah.
Because love never dies. Anyway, but...
Love never dies in itself is a joke. It doesn't need you to make any for it.
Yeah, so, anyway. So, the graveyard scene is over. What follows, is it the setting up for the opera?
Yes.
Okay. That one... Oh, yeah, it's good. Again, they do a little bit of things in the aisles where one of the managers this time is in the aisle next to us near the front. And he actually walked past me, which was...
It was Andre.
Was it Andre?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Is Andre the one with the mustache?
I don't know.
I think it is.
One of them was
Andre.
Well, I guess it depends on the production too, because there's been different kinds. One of them I think was actually bald this time. Was he, or just thin hair?
Thin hair, I think.
Okay, yeah. And anyway, they had. I like how they have the policeman in the pit with the gun. It's funny. I said policeman, but it's because it's an old-fashioned guy in that like ridiculous police outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think of when I think policeman. I don't think of, like, modern police. But anyway, so he's right next to the conductor, and it's, like, somewhat breaking the fourth wall. But again, it's making you feel like you're in the actual theater, and it works.
Mm-hmm.
did they change anything in that? I thought there was something a little bit interesting. Anyway, so again, the Phantom goes around. He's throwing his voice around the theater, and then, but usually he appears physically in box 5, and then they shoot at him. But this one, it was just a shadow, and then he shoots the shadow, and then it like evaporates like it's a freaking like in Princess and the Frog when there's shadow monsters that get like zapped with light. Why would they? So how would he make his own shadow? Like they explain. Why not? They explain some things, but then some things are left up to the imagination, I guess.
It just looked like a little Ghostbusters thing, like he got zapped or something. Yeah. It made me laugh.
It was weird. I don't know. And so, then, Point of No Return starts. The whole Don Juan Triumphant thing happens. Pastorino's microphone cut out at one point. That was one thing.
But that's not their fault.
It's not their fault.
That's the theater's fault, because it has garbage. Microphones.
Yes. And so it wasn't too bad this time. There was a bit of static at one point, but and so the set for this one, I like it better in some ways than the original, because I don't really like the original Don Juan Triumphant Point of No Return set. It's like just a bunch of cloths and sticks, and like then there's the table. This one, it's like a table, and there's like sort of elegant background.
Peacocks on the table.
Yeah, there was a freaking peacock.
And a pheasant, I think.
No, it was actually a lyrebird, and I made sure to like, because I was like, what the? Okay, so but the problem is that there's this banquet table and everybody's dining at it and stuff, and that's fine. But then they sort of take the pig with the apple in its mouth and all the did it have an apple in its mouth?
Probably.
It was roasted anyway.
It was a pig.
Yeah, it was pig. So they take away, and so all that's left on the table are the lyrebird, the glass of wine that's used in the number, and a bunch of, I think they were apricots, but I think it's meant to be apples in the in the original it was apples, so
maybe it's a lyrebird because he's a liar.
No, I was gonna say, because I'm like, of all the things that could, because the wine is used in the thing, and the apples, which are now apricots or some sort of other small fruit, are used in the thing. You just sort of held it by her face. It was really weird.
Yeah.
Unless that's, maybe there's a reference I'm not getting. But I'm like, why is the lyrebird still there? And the rest of the table's empty, and it looked really weird. It was not set up very well, and I'm like, is it because of Apollo's lyre? Or are they trying to be, like, clever there? But even then, it makes no sense. It was not, but she stands on the table later, and I guess that's why, but I would have rather it was just an empty table or whatever. Or have everything off to the side instead of
just... Or at least have the lyrebird in the middle.
Yeah, like an ornament thing. And so...
Was it for food? Or decoration?
I don't even know.
Because there's a peacock, and I don't think people eat peacocks.
I imagine some people might.
I don't know. You'd have some nice little poos after.
What the hell are you talking?
They'd be rainbow.
I was gonna make a joke where like eating peacocks like eating cocks, but like your poo joke just like now I can't do anything. So
you're welcome, everyone.
I think we just better move on from that. So
her dancing was really sensual.
Okay,
she had her legs all over him. Yeah, and I was like, this is 17th century, 18th century,
1896.
19th century.
Okay, so and one thing they kind of did Point to No Return better with choreography and with her acting, but they kind of did it worse. So it's one thing that never really makes sense is that she doesn't recognize that it's the Phantom who has replaced Piangi because, you know, he has his voice and stuff. But in this one, I think at the point she realizes when she somehow looks at his hands somehow and takes off the gloves, but that doesn't make any sense. Like, maybe he has a ring or something.
Oh, yeah, because he has that ring.
Like, maybe. I don't know. But, and so, like, that never really made any sense that she didn't know from the start. But in this one, she acted it really well, but it was not the greatest ever, but so she acted it in a way where the lyrics of the song became what she was saying to the Phantom, and it was like sort of, she was like, I think maybe this has been done before, but I've never seen it done this well. She was sort of talking about how he, like the lyrics about how he's brought her here, and then she says, you know, I've decided, and then she looks up at the managers briefly, like implying that she sort of knows what's going on, and that's why. But I think she should have looked up at Raoul or something, because she's playing along. It's hard to describe what happened, but anyway. And so they go through the song. They're doing stuff. And then she puts her hand around his chest and lifts up the hood, and he's there with a mask. The police walk on stage.
They have his gun pointed at their guns pointed at him.
One of the police goes away. One of them stays there with his gun, hanging out the whole time.
Kind of dumb.
The way, but the problem is that the blocking was such that they had a clear shot at him without hurting Christine several times, and he was like cornered and stuff. Whereas the original, they sort of like the managers or Raoul or someone tells them to sort of back off a little bit because they're sort of getting close to each other, and there's like he's within arm's reach of Christine, and it's like a little bit of danger and stuff.
I mean, even if they didn't shoot to kill, they could have at least shot his leg to be safe.
Yeah, and it's not like when people in the audience see there's police on stage, like it's pretty much over then. But and so anyway, this thing happens, and the Phantom's like he does the thing with "All I Ask of You," but he's far away from Christine at this point, not even that close.
And then he walks towards her.
Yeah, am I supposed to follow your sentence?
I don't know.
Because you did that with me a couple times, and we didn't plan this. Though.
He just walks towards her.
Oh, okay. No.
Knees.
Yeah, okay. So he's already vulnerable at this point, having like guns pointed at him and stuff, and he's like clearly freaking out and stuff. And so then he kneels down on the ground. He's like clearly not a threat to her at all because she's not within even grabbing distance. And then she walks over and like pulls off his mask. Then like kicking a man when he's down, because like in the original he's like near her and he's like facing her and holding her hands, and she pulls off the mask because she thinks she might be in danger. In this, she's just being a jerk.
It's like at the Bachelor reunion when Rachel was just like
Jesus
tearing
Christ,
Peter down.
what are you doing?
So sad.
What are you doing, Nicole?
Like Peter did nothing wrong. I don't think. I liked him a lot.
Frickin', you don't get the Phantom Rose.
I like him.
Whatever.
Peter and Phantom start with the same letter.
Oh my god. So anyway, she like takes off his mask for basically no reason, and then since she's now close to him, he's able to kidnap her.
Yeah, that really was not a great plan, police.
Or Christine.
Or Christine. Or anyone, really.
Yeah, okay, so then...
Except for Phantom.
They show Pianji, he's been hanged, but it's not as clear behind this. The set is
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I saw it. It was like 5 seconds. It's pretty brief, usually, but Carlotta, like, screams over his dead body, and it kind of like... Yeah, anyway, so...
It's brief.
Stuff happens, and, then everyone's like, let's go find the Phantom, and then, for some reason, Monsieur Rayer, or whatever, is holding Meg's arm as Madame Giry tells her daughter not to come with her, and Raoul. And then they go down into the, opera, sort of. It's, the boat goes back to front this time, because the set is at a different place. It's hard to describe just with words, but that happens, and then, there's no rat catcher. It's sad. Cried very hard. And then, so the stairs come out again where Madame Giry is she's like, Raoul, I'm going to leave you here. I don't want to go any further. You go. And I thought they were going to do a clever thing where he was going to go halfway down the stairs, and then the stairs at the front and at the back of him would disappear, and he would have to jump into the lake. Because in the original, he jumps off a bridge into the lake, and he jumps through the stage into a trap door, but it looks like he's jumping into water, and it's really a cool effect. But I'm like, how are they going to do this? He's up pretty high. How are they going to manage the stunt? Then he just walks down the stairs.
He walks down the stairs.
I think one of them wobbled.
Oh.
But I don't know. Maybe that's just an accident, or maybe I was like willing it.
An accident? Simply an accident?
I was like willing it to happen, maybe, or maybe it was implied that that's. It was like showing that he was.
Because it would have been cool if the Phantom had it set up, so that's how nobody got down into his lair. Yeah, or if there was like a stair that told him that Raoul was coming, but he doesn't notice Raoul until he comes later on, so that doesn't make any sense. Because the Phantom's known for setting up traps and stuff in the original and in a lot of versions. So, anyway, so that was kind of disappointing. Then the Phantom is back with Christine, and one of the problems with removing the bride, well, I think it's a fine thing, like to remove the bride dummy, is that when he's in the lair for the second time, the bride is lying on his chair, like, as this naked dummy, and Christine is put on the wedding dress, and he throws the bride off the stage. Yeah. And I like when he shoves the little...
veil
on her
head.
Because that's, like, a really powerful thing. Like, he's claiming
ownership
of her.
But in this one, it got a little bit weird, because it was, like, implied that he had dressed her or was helping finalize the dressing of her, and she was like saying, "No, stop it." It was like really rapey, which like he's a weird ass kidnapper, upper ghost.
He's rapey quite a bit.
Yeah, but this was just a little bit.
Too rapey.
It was a little bit like. It brought up questions of like, did he actually dress her and undress her and stuff, or did she just half put it on and he was like doing it up? If so, why did she put it? It was weird. So that happens. Then they start to sing and stuff. Raoul comes down. He just sort of walks along and makes a bit of noise. Oh, they don't have the grate prop, where there's a grate that comes down from the ceiling in the background that separates. I'm kind of okay with that, because that's just, like, a...
Extra.
Like, it's a glorified curtain, basically, and it looks a little bit weird. The set looks a bit too big in that, but, whatever. So Raoul comes down. The Phantom has the suspended magical lasso, which it's not as good in this version, because it doesn't... Like, it still looks like it's magically suspended, but it also looks close enough to a wall that it could be suspended from something on the ceiling, which is also kind of visible, so it's like...
Yeah.
It looks weird. Then they have their sort of trio singing, and the choreography is a little bit changed in this. Phantom steps away a little bit from Christine and stuff, and she pulls his musical notes off of the stand and starts to like...
Oh, that was nice. I liked that. How she was balling them up and throwing them on the ground.
I kind of like that, but it got a little bit confusing as to the message of this story a bit in some parts, because like it's not like it was established that he's like super into his work more than her, because his obsession is with her and she's like linked to his work, so I guess you could sort of say like it's like
she's like, I'm not gonna do this
like
anymore.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he's like using her as a prop for his work and not separating the two, so he thinks she's like her possession, and so he's like, don't ball up the opera because it is like a part of the thing. And like later on he says, okay, I'm gonna say that in a second, but anyway, so they have their 3 musical number thing. She kisses him, then gives him like a friend hug.
I liked the hug, because at first he didn't hug her back, and I thought that was very courteous of him.
I think it was just cute, but anyway.
Yeah.
But this actually, like, the problem is that this came after a scene where he, like it's
dressed
implied
her.
he undressed and dressed her, which is weird, so.
Yeah, that's the thing. Oh, like, you see the end of the Phantom, and you're like, wow, that's really sad, I feel bad for the guy, but then you're also like, because he killed a few people.
Like, in the lyrics, it's implied that he's getting a little bit rapey anyway, but this was, like, full on, and, like, he was, like, touching. It was weird. It was weird.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. But anyway, so then he frees Raoul, and they go away, and then the Phantom sits on the ground, and then the monkey opens, and then he says, like, hide your face so the world will never find you, and as he's saying hide, the thing closes up, so the monkey's hiding. I'm like, okay, I guess that's why it opens and closes now. They had to change the opening auction scene for that too, I forgot to mention, because it's designed differently. Mm-hmm. Then he goes back and he starts to pull his notes together, and he's like organizing them and being sad. And then so maybe the symbolism is that like Christine and his musical composition are supposed to be one and the same to him, and he's like treating people like objects, which is something he does. He does that in the book and stuff, and so, but then as he's organizing them, he says, Christine, I love you. And in this, a good change they made in the acting is that instead of, like, seeing her come back alone and saying, like, Christine, I love you, to her, he's saying it to himself, and that kind of tore me up a bit, I got sad. Yeah. I cried a bit.
It's almost like he's saying it to his music, too.
No, it's like he says it to himself and then he lets go of the music, so he's like
letting go of her.
No, he's treating her as a person and separating her from the music and not treating her as an object anymore.
Yeah.
And that sort of allows a bit more power to it's over now, the music of the night, and you alone can make my song take flight. So, because like, it's her, it's not the music and her, it's something like that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, and she leaves the ring on the table, but he doesn't see her come back, and I don't know if he even noticed the ring on the table. Like, he put his music beside it, but he put the ring on his finger, never mind. Yeah. But it wasn't done in kind of a great way.
Grand way.
No. And Raoul came back with Christine as well, so, I don't know. It was weird that, like, she would come back to see him when that was, like... And she looked really torn up and sad, and she looked like she regretted that she was leaving him in this dumpy life and stuff. So, that was sad.
It is a sad story.
Yeah.
Oh.
What
I'm just... throwing that out there. We forgot to talk about the policemen come in then.
No, we didn't forget. It's coming up.
Oh.
Okay, so he says, it's over now, the music of the night. And then the police and Meg and the mob show up. And, the Phantom is afraid because he's gonna die. And then Meg goes up to the Phantom as he's pulling the cloak over himself and, like, hugs him protectively. But she's not putting herself between the police and him, so it's a little bit weird. And I know what's coming, because, okay, in the original, he sits on the chair that the bride was on, and then he covers himself with a blanket, and then Meg comes down, and then they're all looking around and climbing down the grate and stuff, and then Meg goes up to the chair and she pulls off the cloak, which is still in his shape, and there's nothing there except for the mask. In this one, he's standing in the stage, and then Meg is, like, hugging him. It takes a little bit too long for it to be believable.
Yeah, like she was just kind of holding it there.
It's a cooler effect, but the problem is that it takes longer to do, to the point where it feels awkward.
Yeah, because you could tell when he wasn't in there,
Yeah.
and it's just like, oh, you're just holding up a cape.
Yeah,
like,
she was, like, hugging
way
him.
to go, magic.
She's hugging him protectively, which is kind of a good character thing for her, I guess. But then the thing drops, and then she leafs through it and finds the mask, which is a little weird, compared to the original. But.
Yeah, because you would have had to, like, throw it up.
But I like it that she was more center stage instead of right off in the corner, because
Yeah.
I think it's better for the end sort of scene. And I guess then it's over, the whole thing.
The end.
Oh, also, I forgot to mention the Phantom's deformity. They changed the design of it a bit, where he looks like, you know how sometimes there's rocks with, like, stripes across them, like large, like, canyon type rocks in the mountains. It looked like that instead of, it wasn't as bad as the 2004 version, where it's like nothing can barely be seen on him, but it also wasn't as good as the original thing, where he has, like, this crater and these scars and all that.
And the skull through his head. Oh, I also forgot to mention the lighting when Ra was coming down the stairs was actually cool, because it was shining up on the stairs and it made it look like a rib cage. But I think that was...
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, I just liked it. It looked like bones to me, but I'm also really dumb. So it could not have... It would just look really eerie.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess.
angular.
Yeah.
Sharp.
I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but whatever.
I know. Overall, it wasn't a bad show. Like, we said most of the negative things, but that's just because that's what's easiest to remember.
Why don't talk like you have the scripted. That's really pretentious.
I'm not talking like that. I'm just really good at speaking.
No, you're not. You sound awful.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
But I mean, overall, it wasn't bad. It was good.
Well,
But
okay.
it
Here's the
wasn't
thing.
The original.
No, here's the thing. Is I thought to myself as I was preparing for this get upstairs. I'm like, do I hate this? And I thought to myself, I'm not really angry at it, but I feel, it's very possible that I will get angry at it as it settles in on me. Like, this is not like a Beauty and the Beast 2017 thing where, like, just right from the bat, I'm like, this is just, like, I just want to shoot myself. This is, like, it may grow on me in certain ways and it may not, but generally I do like the original better in many ways. I'm glad they made some changes, they just didn't know how to make... Like, there's some things I would have changed in the original maybe that they didn't, and then there's things that they changed that is, like, the dumbest thing to change ever.
Like, if you're gonna have the boat going through the water, it's not as impressive if it just, like, goes whoop, whoop.
Yeah, from the side of the stage to the side of the stage, but,
Yeah.
But even, like, just things that are nonsensical, like the Phantom taking off his own mask, like, both symbolically and for his reaction to her seeing his face, that is just totally wrong.
Yeah.
That's
that
like...
just did not make sense to me.
That's like if you were, like, if in Romeo and Juliet you took out the balcony in the balcony scene.
Yeah.
But kept the same dialogue.
That's more like the staircase.
Well, that...
Taking out a balcony and...
No, I mean, like, from a level of, like,
symbolism.
context. Yeah, symbolism and context of... Because there's versions of Romeo and Juliet where, like, he comes down from the balcony and stuff. There's at least one version, I mean. And that's fine because it's framed in a different way, but if you kept it with the dialogue and stuff, it doesn't quite make sense. Anyway, the point is, like, if this is the first version of Phantom that someone sees, it's not the worst you could see, but it's also not the best, and I kind of feel bad for anyone who sees this first. Not as bad as if they just saw the movie.
Oh. Well, everyone should know that the movie is bad. They just should know
A lot of people probably don't, though. That's
like
a scary
you when
thing.
you first saw it.
The movie? No. No, I hated the movie.
We had to watch it like 18 times. We had like
No.
5 copies
I know.
of it.
I know, but I was introduced to the musical first, and I hated the movie, and then I forced myself to somewhat like it, but say, like, Maybe there was a few things I didn't like. But I tried, then I said, you know what, maybe it's good that it exists in some respect. I don't know. But it is a dumpy movie. It's an interesting study of, like, things, but I wish they hadn't done that.
Yeah, I just don't know how I feel about them taking away the staircase. I mean, it's fine, but also it wasn't as impressive to display the costumes, I think.
It wasn't as impressive, like, it actually did ruin the blocking of the whole scene, too, in the levels, and a lot of the levels were bad in this, because everyone was down on the ground. I mean, that whole cylinder set was massive and impressive, but it also limited them a lot.
And it took up so much space.
Yeah, it was crowded. It looked very good. The scene was very crowded, and there were times when they just sort of shoved stuff on stage that didn't need to be there, I felt.
Yeah.
You know, in lieu of something that actually would have been good, like a staircase or an elephant. I wish also they had, if they were going to change the going down to the lair scene, they should have brought back the horse.
No.
Well,
How does a phantom keep a horse in a sewer?
because he stole it from the stables.
But, like, how would a horse be able to walk in the sewer? How would they...
How would a man be able to...
Okay, Kristen, imagine the horse, but they painted it like the elephant. Has that convinced you?
Okay, well, if they did it crappily, no. I wouldn't want it.
And they wouldn't have a real horse. It would probably be an ugly fake horse.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't have a real horse.
Or a guy wearing a horse mask. Just...
Okay, that would be bad, but...
See? I'm so smart.
All I'm saying is, like, if they had the budget... It's so weird. I wonder where all the budget went to this, because some of it was really impressive. But then there's a cardboard elephant. I'm like, did they just run out all of a sudden?
No, I think that was done on purpose. Like, if it hadn't been done on purpose, then, like...
But why would you purposely make something so that it's meant to be bad?
So that it's like, haha, look at how they were. Look at how things are in the theater world. They have cardboard elephants.
But I don't like it. Like, it seems, like, lazy. And
Really
it's not even a funny joke, and it's kind of insulting, even.
You're insulted by a cardboard elephant.
Well, it's insulting that they would, like... I'm trying to think of an example of what it would be like. No, but... Anyway, like, I don't know. I'm not super mad, but generally, most of the things they changed were for the worse. It wasn't like it destroyed it entirely, but it was very distracting, and it wasn't able to focus on the music as much, or the performances and all that, and it was...
The characters, but it wasn't bad. Like,
No.
all the actors did
I didn't
a
get that
phenomenal
Phantom
job.
feeling. Like, usually when I go to Phantom of the Opera, I get that sort of, like, nostalgic thing, and I remember all the great things about it, and...
Yeah.
This time I just sort of was like, oh...
Well, that happened.
Yeah, it happened, so...
It did. The end.
Yeah, well, until he moves to America and builds a theme park.
Well, we don't talk about that.
No, we don't talk about that.
Actually, we did talk about it quite a bit, but...
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
No.
So are we done?
I think we might be done. I don't know if there's anything else to
It
say.
made me want to die,
Fuck you. Fuck. You should have paused and said, like, die A, because you're also Canadian, and so,
Well,
like... I thought of that joke, actually, when I was
no one needs
looking
to know
at the
that.
thing.
Hey, Kristen, you're ugly. Opera roasted.
Oh.
And I'm out.
No.
Yes, I am.
When this is over, you'll be opera toast.
I came up with that joke.
I know you did. But what was the one I came up with roast, though? But when you were talking, I was on.
You came up with opera post, and that's how he sends his
No,
mail.
I said... No, you said that thing, and the pillar was an opera post. I said, no, that's how he gets his mail. And then I said opera roast is like when he, like, barbecues.
He fat shames Pianji.
He does. But, also since the elephant wasn't a full prop, they also took out the other joke where Pianji can't get on top of it.
Yeah.
Which is funny when he's in this big outfit.
Yes.
Yeah, so... Yeah. I think it was funny that they added that. I think Pianji was eating when he said that line.
Oh, yeah,
That was funny. I like that they added that.
Fat shaming is never okay, though.
I'm trying to think of a comeback, but... Maybe that's why the elephant was cardboard.
Because they didn't want to fat shame him?
No, because they didn't want him to have, like, too much dimension because... No, I don't even know.
They didn't want him to have dimension.
That was a
Like all the
dumpy-ass
other
elephant.
characters.
That was the dumpiest ass elephant I've ever seen. Like, it was bad
fine.
even for being bad. Ugh.
Fine. You know what? It's over. We
It's
had
over.
a good time. They got a standing ovation.
Yep.
Everyone wins.
Yep. Well,
Well, I mean, I guess not the Phantom. He
Yeah.
kind of lost that one. But in the second one, he gets a son, so.
spoiler.
And everyone else kind of dies.
No. Yeah, no. No one wins in Love Never Dies. Especially not the audience.
Yeah, but, like, still.
I'm trying to think of a clever way to end this, but I guess just...
I can make Fluffball meow.
No, don't make him meow. He doesn't want to be held. Oh.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, he's grabbing the blanket. Oh, Fluffy. No.
Come here. Say goodbye.
No, Fluffy.
Say goodbye.
Oh, you're so grumpy.
That's a good boy. You're done.
Yeah, he's real angry. He's like a Phantom of the Opera. Oh, angry.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know.
That's the end.
It is... I want to have an outro, but I don't...
I tried to do that.
No, you tried it, but you were bad.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I guess one good thing is that since I didn't get that Phantom of the Opera feeling, I wasn't inspired to write one of the planned Phantom of the Opera stories I have in the banks of my mind.
I mean, at least there wasn't blackface. The end.
No, it's not
That's how
ending
you
on that.
ended.
No, I'm not ending on blackface, Nicole. I'm better than that. Whenever I start a Phantom of the Opera story, it always it's one of those things where I have trouble finishing it, and every few months I feel like I'm behind on it, but anyway, so I guess I don't have that pressure on me now that... What are you doing to the cat?
I thought you might like it.
I'm not going to describe what she just did, because I want you to, think of the worst thing imaginable.
No.
No.
That's not
No,
nice.
I want them to think of you as a terrible person for, the jokes you have made. So
Lovely.
so that's how you'll be remembered. I think we should just end this. Should I end this?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna press stop in 3, 2...
lovely.
Nicole, shut up!
Sorry.
Okay. No, I'm just gonna end this.